Hello and welcome to the penultimate round of the F1 2018 Equal Cars Career Mode. Yes, we're already there. We've only got one race after this, which will be Brazil, as we are in Mexico. Of course, we're not doing Abu Dhabi because, let's face it, it's not that good a track, to be honest. Brazil's probably a much better track to finish it on. So once again, I'm going to be doing all the talking, and Shady Onyx is going to be doing all the driving. I'm plowing into the back of AI drivers. As we head on to qualifying, we're going to retire straight away so we can see all the action going into the first straight. I see who's got the fastest straight line speed, and it is Sebastian Vettel, Alonso, and Hamilton. So even so, they're it's a straight line. They still seem to be at the front, which seems to be very odd. How the fastest drivers at the front, but I mean, you can see as of course Vettel, Alonso, Hamilton, and Leclerc, the main four in this title fight. Alonso has it all to do. Of course, he had a really good qualifying last time out, qualifying P2 behind Ricciardo, but actually retired in the race after trying to go for the win with Ricciardo. And of course, Ricciardo actually ended up retiring as well. But so Alonso really needs this win if he wants to if he wants to actually challenge Vettel, Hamilton, and Leclerc. Leclerc actually finding himself in P9, so he needs to probably find himself a few places higher. As you can see, and actually Perez once again in P4. So Perez doing really well at his home Grand Prix. He's been doing well all season, and again it's showing as he's just ahead of the two Red Bulls. Shady Onyx actually doing really well, P13. So he's one to watch in the race. We know he can gain a lot at the start as he gains another 3 positions there, up into P11. Sorry, as he falls back down to P13. So it's all over the place in the midfield as once again Shady Onyx climbs to 9th and then falls to 11th. But yeah, meanwhile at the front you can see Hamilton's actually going to take the pole in the end over Alonso. Alonso holding up actually Vettel just about in the end. So there are your top 3. Of course, the 3 which you're normally used to seeing at the front.
What?
Okay. I don't know. I think what happens is that you always are like 2 tenths ahead of what I actually see. Because, like, wherever you qualify, I'm like, oh, you're 19th, and you, like, qualify 16th, for example. As Shady Onyx gets pole position for the first race. He actually gets it by a 10th in the end over Hamilton. So both Brits line up at the front. But I don't think Hamilton's happy because he needs this win, to be honest. As he's battling Alonso, Vettel, and Vettel, of course. But I think Alonso is going to be even more peeved off because, of course, he nearly needs the win if he wants to be right back into this fight. Meanwhile, Charles Leclerc all the way down in P10, so he's got some work to do. Of course, he's got some of the fastest drivers ahead of him, as all the well, basically the 10 you would expect to be in the top 10 are in the top 10, as the 2 Renaults line up just outside. Of course, the top 11 within 5 tenths in the end. Even so, there is quite a noticeable gap between the top 5 and Ricciardo. As we scroll down again, you can see at the bottom, the usual suspects. Pierre Gasly this time, right at the back. Ericsson, Van Dorn, no surprise there. Magnussen once again struggling, even so he is still 3 tenths ahead of Van Dorn. So I don't know what Van Dorn, Ericsson, and Gasly are doing, but they've had their naps there because they're 3 tenths behind everyone else. And you can see as well, there's quite a few stairs to climb before you get to Hulkenberg, who's a further 4 tenths ahead of Stoffel Van Dorn. So sorry, of Kevin Magnussen. But yeah, that's going to be it for qualifying. See you in the race. So yeah, Shady Onyx on pole. This is his best opportunity to win. Of course, he should have won in Monza.
I actually really like this track. I actually messed up, so I thought
Watch how it's a wet race. Watch how it's a wet race and they went on a wet setup. I know it is a dry race. Even so, it will rain at the end. So once again, we've got a variable race, and this should be really interesting because last time we saw this was actually the opposite way round, which was actually in Spa where it went from rain to dry. So as you can see, that it should be really interesting at the end. So yeah, I think some people should actually want to start on the ultras so they actually can stretch it to the rain, because it definitely looks like it is going to come, as we're actually going to line up now for the starting grid and wait for the lights for the penultimate race of the season. So we wait for the lights to go out. Here we go. 5 lights are out, and away we go for the penultimate race of the season. As we going to have a look at the start. Shady Onyx doesn't need to worry because yellow flags for once will protect him into turn 1. He's got nobody to lose his front wing on. If he loses his front wing, I'm going to admit he's just bad. But he's going to lead into turn 1 as actually Hamilton's coming under fire from Alonso. Of course, this is the only track where you can really overtake into turn 1 because it's such a long run. As you can see, as you actually have a look at the position change, Vettel's down a position as Perez moves into P4. So the Mexican looking for a podium in his home Grand Prix. Of course, it's going to be ever so harder as we've got the Williams out in front now. Of course, he really needs to overtake the Toro Rossos and the Haas drivers in the constructors But yeah, he's being put under pressure by his idol, Lewis Hamilton, right now. Of course, who's trying to pull away from Alonso. But I don't think it's going to help that he's in the dirty air of Shady Onyx. So a section you really don't want to be in the dirty air of. Of course, this section really, like Maggots and Beckett's, to be honest, you really need a lot of downforce. As you can see, biggest movers and shakers. Actually, Ericsson down another position. Magnussen down 2 positions. As actually Van Dorn and Gasly gain. Vettel down 4 positions. What's happened here? He's lost the position to the 2 Red Bulls and Valtteri Bottas, who's up 3 positions. And oh my goodness, Vettel, who's actually leading the constructors, has got a bit of karma. In the championship, he's actually got a bit of karma after taking out Hamilton last race, and he now finds himself just ahead of Leclerc. And looks like that, Hamilton doesn't just find himself back in the championship. He looks like he's going to take the championship lead. If things stay as they are, of course we still got rain to come. But if things stay as they are, Hamilton will have a lead going into the final race of the season. But of course that still doesn't mean anything, because anything can happen in that race. As you can see, Carlos Sainz overtakes Raikkonen now for P10. And yeah, Raikkonen not having the best race, as Sainz once again showing that he is quite good, as Hulkenberg actually down to P14. So considering the Renault started right next to each other, it's not being a good few laps for them. As once again Vettel's falling back, and I don't know what it is. It could be with the car, because he was struggling in Japan for pace, and now he's falling back off Verstappen quite quickly, to be honest, as Grosjean now overtakes Raikkonen. So maybe it's a Ferrari problem, even on equal cars. I don't know what it is, but both Ferraris beginning to struggle, as Shady Onyx now has a second lead over Hamilton, who in turn is really pulling away from Perez. So Alonso now will have his work cut out if he wants to be back in this title fight, because Hamilton looks like he's in the driving seat in all of this right now, as Leclerc closes in on Sebastian Vettel. Of course, Leclerc needs the best result possible, but we know he's a god at strategy. We know in the last changeable race, he managed to turn a P9 into a P3 and nearly into a P1. Can he do the same today to save his championship hopes? He really has a lot of pressure going into this. Of course, it's in the inaugural season, the Shady Onyx sets the fastest lap, but he's still got Hamilton for company. Hamilton within that actually 8/10, he's still within DRS, so Shady Onyx needs to be careful as Hamilton closes that gap down. Ever so slightly, but I think Shady Onyx is running a low downforce setup, which will help him on the straights, of course, as Valtteri Bottas gets past Alonso. But the question is, will his low downforce setup help him in the rain? Of course, he will struggle a bit more if he has got a low downforce setup, as Alonso now gets overtaken by Bottas. So it's not going well for Alonso, as now Hamilton's teammate overtakes him, and Alonso now might soon find himself completely out of this fight, after of course bottling a lead last time out. But you can see he's got his old rival Daniel Ricciardo. Of course, these guys actually battled it for the lead in both Spain and last race, of course, before they both retired unfortunately last race. Yeah, they might be battling for P5 now, as Sebastian Vettel now has Leclerc all over the back of him, and Sebastian Vettel is really struggling, and it's not looking good. After he caused an incident with Hamilton, a lot of hate's been directed towards him, and now he's got Leclerc all over the back of him. And just like that, he might be losing the championship lead as Leclerc gains and gains. But I think right now it's the 2 Red Bulls we want to watch, as Daniel Ricciardo, I think, defends from Verstappen. Actually, Verstappen could have been ahead as they go side by side there, but Ricciardo getting the position no matter what, as Vettel actually closes into the back of them. As they go down to the long straight now, you can see actually Ricciardo still ahead of Verstappen, but he's got quite a bit of a gap in front of him to Alonso, so Verstappen's going to get him even before the start-finish line, as Verstappen moves into P6. Will Vettel be able to get Ricciardo as well? The answer is no, but I think Leclerc will be able to get Vettel, and as Vettel looks really down on power right now, so I don't know what's happening to the Ferraris. Have they got a high downforce setup? We'll see when it comes to the rain. But right now, Vettel really struggling in this race, as Leclerc now right behind Ricciardo, seeing if he can get that position, as he's actually going to go into the slipstream. Leclerc is going to try to get a double overtake. He's got to move on Vettel. Now he's got to move on Ricciardo as he goes into P7 there. That will be another good move for Leclerc, as he's going to have to do it around the outside. You see Verstappen gaining and gaining as a result. So Leclerc moves into P7, and this is what he needs to do if he wants to keep his hopes alive. Leclerc is smart. He may be his first season, but he's driving like an experienced racer right now, as he's systematically making his way through the pack. Of course, he needs to drop Ricciardo quickly so he can get onto the back of Max Verstappen, but you can see that shouldn't be a problem, because Vettel's all over the back of Ricciardo, and as soon as they fight, Leclerc can pull away, and Leclerc can set off in search of more positions. That's what he did last race. He was able to pull out a big lead, as Vettel once again is locked up, and there's actually a pile-up as Carlos Sainz tries to get to a double move. Vettel locking out and making another mistake, nearly collecting Ricciardo in all of that. So of course he spun out Hamilton after locking up last race, and this time he nearly takes out Ricciardo after completely locking up and losing 2 positions, but he should be able to get 2 of them back as he go into the straight. But the full-time world champion has the nerves beginning to settle, as you can see he's fighting for the championship, but he's going to lose another position to the Toro Rosso as they're going to go probably 4 wide to the Haas of Grosjean. Grosjean is going to get a quadruple overtake. Is he going to try to get the outside of Daniel Ricciardo? Grosjean gets a triple overtake, sorry, and what a move from the baguette. He's up into P8, and what a move. Oh my goodness, he got a triple overtake on the straight, and Vettel once again is having his head in his hands as Leclerc completely pulled away from this group. Esteban Ocon's unfortunately out of this race as Vettel only just manages to keep ahead of Sainz, but Vettel, my goodness, he's looking up left, right and centre, and he's not making moves count when he needs to. And Vettel finds himself nearly out the point after starting in P4. It's all going wrong from the championship leader. And oh my goodness, he's not driving like a 4-time world champion right now. He's driving like a man on the edge. He really is not in a good place right now. So he needs to sort that out before next race. There's actually a virtual safety car now, so everything's neutralised. And this might be a chance for Shady Onyx to go into the pits. Of course, unless he wants to hold out till rain. Of course, I think other drivers also might pit. Of course, it might be worth it because, of course, you can stretch the tyres until the rain period. And sure enough, I think that is Shady Onyx into the pits. Hamilton opting to stay out. So it's actually going to be strict strategies. Anyone else in the pits? No, it isn't. So Shady Onyx is the only person to take advantage of the VSC, which is very surprising. So unless these guys know rain's coming really soon, but I think they've already shot themselves in the foot by the looks of things. As a result, Leclerc's actually going to be up into P6. So he's doing really well, but Shady Onyx should still be able to come out in front of people, and he's actually come out in front of Kimi Raikkonen and all of this. So Raikkonen really struggling, but yeah, Sebastian Vettel might lose another position now. He's all harassed by Carlos Sainz, and Hulkenberg now falls to the back of the grid. But yeah, Vettel now has a chance to re-overtake Ricciardo, and things are going well for him and Ricciardo, to be honest, this race. Ricciardo's already out of the championship fight, but Vettel's very much in it. He leads it right now.
On the straight?
I don't know. I think Vettel's still going to go for the move, though. He doesn't care that there's yellow flags. The yellow flags are gone now, but Vettel's going to get the move on Ricciardo. Ricciardo's going to hold it around the outside. This is losing them time, but Ricciardo does a stunning move on Vettel, and Vettel gets absolutely done. And I don't know what's happening to Vettel right now as Ricciardo goes defensive. That's losing them even more time. I'm sorry. He's already lost 3 seconds to Grosjean, who's now well up the road. Grosjean is doing really well, and Ricciardo and Vettel keep battling each other and keep losing time to the guys up ahead. They were right behind Verstappen at one point. Now they're literally 8 or so seconds behind Verstappen as Vettel gets Ricciardo once again. But we know that's not going to be the end of it, because on the straight they should be able to be battling each other once more. And if they're not careful, Carlos Sainz and even Brendan Hartley, or even Shady Onyx, who's pit and come out on ultras, to make the most of it. But Shady Onyx already on the back of this group, and he's nearly a pit stop ahead of Vettel, and Vettel's not having a good time with things. As actually, also having that said, Ricciardo is now out of DRS of Vettel, as Sainz is also out of DRS of Ricciardo, so I don't know what's happened to them two. As Shady Onyx will be able to get Sainz by the end of the straight. I wouldn't be surprised if he dimes bombs quite aggressively, but where does Hartley come from? What the actual hell? Shady Onyx breaks early, Hartley completely mugs him into the brake zone. I don't know what I just saw, but I think I just saw an AI dive bomb somebody, and what a move from Brendan Hartley, who's not done yet. He's going to try to get Sainz as well, is he? No, he's not. But yeah, talking about Vettel, he's actually beginning to pull a bit on Ricciardo, but still P8 is nothing to cheer about when you are fighting a championship. Meanwhile, Alonso might actually find himself back into this. Of course, he's 25 points behind Vettel right now, but as things stand, he will close in 11 points on Vettel, so we'll be down to 14 points. But of course, Hamilton is actually in the lead right now, so he will get rid of it the most. And if anything, of course, he won't have the championship outright, but he should have a massive gap over Vettel, as he's actually going to peel into the pits now. So I think Shady Onyx has gained a lot, so I don't think Hamilton will get the win, as everyone's actually in the pits, apart from Valtteri Bottas, who stays out, and Max Verstappen, who stays out. So apart from that, you've got Leclerc in the pits. Leclerc, of course, has actually gained quite a lot from the pits recently, but he's actually going to have Sergio Perez emerge right in front of him, as he's actually going to try to hold up Alonso in the pits. I think Alonso was ahead of Perez, and now he's behind Perez. Actually, no, Perez was always ahead, but you can see Leclerc is going to come out behind Alonso. As you can see as well. Meanwhile, we've got Ericsson on the back of Raikkonen, as you can see up ahead. That is Perez rejoining ahead of Van Dorn, as Ericsson's now going to go up the inside of Raikkonen, who's really struggling, and Ericsson's just done a double dive bomb as he's going to try to get Van Dorn as well. And Marcus Ericsson finally doing something in this championship, and he gets a double overtake.
Wait,
have you seen Grosjean do it? He's ahead of you.
Or is that Bottas?
That's Bottas. No, Hamilton's quite a bit behind you. Actually, no, he's not. He's actually only about 2 seconds behind you. So you haven't gained as much as I thought you would. But you can see,
yeah, you can held up by Hartley and Sainz.
It makes sense. It's now Hamilton's gonna be held up by them, and you never know. We've seen the Overcut work before. Max Verstappen and Valtteri Bottas could be back into this race. Of course, Bottas trying to make as much trouble for Alonso as possible. Because and Leclerc for that matter, as Fernando Alonso now all over the back of Raikkonen. Of course, he came out way behind the likes of Perez, so he's now got work to do. And of course, you've got Leclerc as well, who's right behind Hülkenberg. So as Alonso gets a move on Raikkonen, actually Alonso doesn't. He actually looks up, and Leclerc is going to go around the outside of Hülkenberg, and now he's right behind Alonso. So Alonso could actually lose another position to Leclerc right now. But yeah, as the rest of the people pit, Shady Onyx is actually released into the pits. So into the lead is Raikkonen now pit, and it's actually this is Leclerc now, who's actually going to try to overtake Alonso. He now has no person to slipstream, and just like that, Leclerc is going to get what should be P. I think there's still a few people out, staying out. It's actually no. I think Verstappen and Bottas have jumped Leclerc and Alonso, so the overcut has worked again. I don't know about Gasly. Gasly seems to be the unknown quantity in all of this. I don't think he's pit yet. Neither is Carlos Sainz, for that matter. So, yeah, I think Leclerc's still in P7. But Alonso now finds himself P8 after starting from pole position. And I don't know. I think once again, people have been screwed up by the undercut compared to the overcut. So Leclerc's doing some odd lines. That's going to be helping. That's not going to help him catch Verstappen.
Behind me.
So yeah, once again, as we've seen all season, the overcut works much better, especially in equal cars, as everyone's held up in the pits if they pit on the same lap. Meanwhile, Bottas is going to try to get past the slow Gasly, but Verstappen actually could find himself near a podium right now, which is actually currently up. I think Perez might be a net P2 in all of this. I don't know where he's come from, but the Mexican at his home Grand Prix benefiting a lot actually from the undercut. So having said that, the undercut has actually helped Hamilton and Perez, and Shady Onyx you put onto VSC for that matter. But you can see now as Verstappen will get released ahead of Carlos Sainz and Gasly. He will be P5, so he's actually getting quite a lot out of it. Leclerc will actually be P6, just behind him. But okay, I mean Leclerc's done a really good drive, to be honest. But he has lost out a bit in the pit lane. He might actually lose out to Alonso now. Leclerc, there's nothing really he can really do on the straight. But he's going to try to go defensive against the two-time world champion. The two-time's going to try to stick his nose up the inside. But Leclerc, what smart driving. And he defends off Alonso on a straight, which is very impressive. But Alonso will have another chance. But of course, Leclerc doesn't want to lose time. He wants to try to get back into this podium. He wants to have every chance that he can possibly have of actually being in the championship fight, as Ricciardo now all over the back of Vettel, and Vettel actually needs to be careful. As you can see, actually, it's that rain beginning to form. It looks like the air is getting moist. So we could see a few pit stops in the next few laps. Of course, DRS disabled is the time where you want to pit. But once again, if we're not careful, we could see it come in the last few laps. We could have the likes of Leclerc risking it on the softs, like he did, of course, on a wet track. He risked it on a drying track. He risked it on the full wet, and it paid off. So you never know. He could try to do that again. Of course, unless it comes down in the next few laps, it might actually be worth staying out. So this is something we really need to watch. As you can see, I think Verstappen actually is actually closing in on Bottas, so this could be a chance, as Verstappen hasn't actually had a really good race, but now he's actually going to find himself moving up into P4 if all goes well. He's going to soar past Valtteri Bottas, and Bottas isn't even going to be alongside him into the brake zone, and Verstappen now could be setting off in search of a podium, which is currently occupied by the home hero, who's actually gaining on Hamilton. So Perez is having a wondrous race, and he's been doing so well all season, and once again he's been doing well, as Leclerc is actually beginning to drop Alonso, as is his pace. He's dropping the pole sitter, as unfortunately Carlos Sainz actually has lost quite a lot. He actually lost 2 positions in all of this. Hamilton, you're dropping Hamilton.
Oh yeah.
So you can see now, you can see actually Bottas and Verstappen still quite close, but Verstappen able to pull a slight gap on Bottas. This is similar to Leclerc and Alonso, as they actually slowly gain in on Verstappen and Bottas. So if Verstappen and Bottas battle, then it could be Leclerc's turn to actually try to get that 4th place. Of course, we know how good Leclerc has been, and of course Alonso will want to come back after a really bad start. Of course, actually he's only lost 4 positions, so he didn't start pole. That was actually went to Shady Onyx, and of course Hamilton got 2nd. As we actually look down the order again, I think the top 10 look fairly settled now. Is at 9 seconds ahead of Brendan Hartley. So he's been holding up a right train at the back, with all your usuals, being Marcus Ericsson, and Stoffel Vandoorne, and of course, yeah, I think they're the main two really, and Hartley actually P11. So even so he is way behind these two, he's doing quite well, to be honest, for Brendan Hartley, as Kimi Räikkönen finds himself way out of the point. So once again, he's not having a really good race as we head into the closing stages. But again, that rain I thought I saw a lap or two ago hasn't really come down heavily, so it actually might be worth staying on these slicks, to be honest. And as a result, Hamilton's actually gained quite a bit on Shiny Onyx. Of course, Shiny Onyx has the oldest tyres of everyone, as we actually put on the tyre map to see who actually has the freshest tyres. And actually, the honour goes to Carlos Sainz, but nobody actually gives a crap about him right now because he's out the points. So the freshest tyres inside the top 5 are Max Verstappen and Valtteri Bottas, as actually Sainz gets overtaken by Ericsson. So it just shows tyres don't exactly mean much. At this stage, so it should mean quite a lot as people at the front tyres begin to wear out. Of course, Shady Onyx will have been on his tyres 13 laps if he stretches them to the end, but still the rain isn't coming down. But we are expecting heavy rain, so you never know. It could be really hard for the leaders to drive in the last two laps, and I wouldn't put it past Shady Onyx to bottle it in the rain. Even so, I don't really want to jinx him. As you can see, Bottas now gaining on Verstappen quite quickly, but he won't be able to make a move. So Verstappen hasn't been able to pull quite a gap on him, and as a result, they are actually keeping ahead of Alonso and Leclerc, who are actually battling right now. And that's not going to help them at all, as they're now 4 seconds behind these two. Leclerc and Verstappen, Verstappen and Bottas playing it much more sensibly, as Leclerc now will have to tuck in behind Alonso for a lap or so. Of course, he just really has to gamble on the weather right now, as Ricciardo's still behind Vettel, and he hasn't actually been able to make a move on Vettel. So I don't know if he's just waiting for the ideal lap, or he just wants to try to gain on Grosjean, as they actually are doing right now. Grosjean actually the biggest mover of the race, apart from Raikkonen, of course, who's lost 8 positions. Grosjean is up 6 positions, so he's been doing quite well. Of course, Vettel down 5 positions, Ricciardo down 4 positions. They have been battling each other quite a lot of the race, and as a result, they've actually lost out quite a lot. So, and now they're trying to work together, of course, to get back through the field. These guys were ex-teammates in 2014. So they have an element of respect for each other. As we look at in the front again, you can see Valtteri Bottas going to be all over the back of Verstappen as we go down onto this straight. And once again, I don't know, we haven't actually seen a swap between these guys for a few laps like we have seen between Leclerc and Alonso, as Alonso's actually pulled quite a bit on Leclerc. I think the main battle will be between Bottas and Verstappen, and Bottas looks like he's close enough now, and Verstappen isn't gaining enough on Perez, so might he just think, screw it, I need to defend my position more than try to catch Perez. And yeah, you can see he's doing that. Because actually Verstappen really feisty under brakes, and that's a brilliant defensive maneuver by the Dutchman. And of course, you weren't seeing him doing many overtakes in Japan, which is rather disappointing. But that's just showing why he's such a young talent. He defends from Bottas, and although it hasn't been the best season for him this season, as he just shows as he locks up. This is going to allow Bottas to go side by side with him. But yeah, although it hasn't been the best season for Verstappen, he should hopefully come back strong next season if we do one in the coming weeks, as Bottas gets him round the outside, and Leclerc now is going to try to get Alonso with a similar move around the outside. So it's actually quite a favourite overtaking spot, as Leclerc now finds himself within 3 seconds of Max Verstappen. So yeah, these two really holding each other up, and Verstappen's going to try to get Bottas back straight away by the looks of things. He should be able to get him back on this mini straight, and he's not facing any hesitation. The vicious Dutch boy back up the inside, and once again showing his aggression off as he overtakes Bottas. But now Leclerc finds himself within 2 seconds of these guys, as Perez is now well home and dry. It looks like he's got a podium at his home Grand Prix. So brilliant stuff for the Mexican. Hamilton won't get the full points by the looks of things as he would have wanted, as Shady Onyx is now 5 seconds ahead. So he looks like he's nursing those tyres rather well, and actually, if anything, getting lots of pace out of them. So Mexico, just a really good check for Shady Onyx in general, as now Alonso is going to try to get Leclerc. Alonso going to pull to the inside, and of course this won't help them. Of course, as long as they're overtaking on the straight, though, it should be fine. As you can see, the gap is still 2 seconds to Valtteri Bottas. And of course, these guys need to work together if they want to get Valtteri Bottas and Max. And of course, Leclerc and Alonso both need it, because technically they are still within a shout of the championship. And with Vettel a few places behind them, they have definitely a shout of P2. But I've got to admit, Hamilton looks really good going into the final round. And that's something I wasn't actually going to say last race after he got spun round by Vettel. But he's come back brilliantly. He's got his head in gear, and he's done exactly what he needed to do. So although he may not be my favourite driver on the grid, I respect with him now, and even in real life he does this. So yeah, credit to him, and it looks like he is well on his way to his 5th title, like he did actually get in real life the other week. So yeah, by the looks of things, everything seems just stabilised. I think the closest battle is still Ricciardo versus Vettel, but Vettel still defending from Ricciardo. So Ricciardo hasn't actually been able to make a move yet, like we've seen with Valtteri Bottas, Alonso and Leclerc. But you can see as a result, they actually have been gaining on Grosjean rather quickly. as yeah, rain is still nowhere to be seen. So I don't know if it is actually going to cause an issue. So this might be your final finishing positions, unless it really starts bucketing it down this lap. As we head on to the only 3 laps to go. Shady Onyx now is extended his lead to 5.3 seconds. As you can see, Leclerc now is going to get the position on Alonso. Of course, as long as these guys trade it on the straights, they're still going to keep within close enough to Valtteri Bottas and Verstappen. Even so, actually, they were able to pull away a bit, have Valtteri Bottas and Verstappen. So, meanwhile, you can see Vettel again gaining on Grosjean. So Grosjean has to be careful now, so if he wants to hold on to that P8, because Vettel really does need it if he wants to be still in this fight, coming into the final round. So, yeah, as we see now, Valtteri Bottas still all over the back of Verstappen, but yeah, the less these guys fight, the more they can pull away from Leclerc and Alonso. But Leclerc has actually been able to drop Alonso a bit, and is actually beginning to drive quite fast. So I think he's finally saved his tyres, and now he's going for one last push, because he's gaining quite quickly, to be honest. He's already gained about a tenth in a couple of corners. Is he going to try to cut this down another tenth? The split's continually decreasing by about 2 lanes every time, as he actually stabilises there a bit there. But again, he's gaining.
Now. It's raining.
So you can see it's finally raining, but I don't think it's worth coming into the pits, as it's the penultimate lap. But yeah, you can see it's actually quite heavy rain. I don't think you can see clearly right now, but we should be able to see more clearly as in the coming laps. And Verstappen now completely dropped Bottas. Bottas is struggling for pace. He's still got DRS and he's still got hot lap. But as a result, he's going to have Leclerc quite close to him. But of course, he will be able to pull away from Leclerc as a result of it being in the slipstream. And Alonso is actually going to get past Leclerc. And they're going to go side by side. So this is not going to help them. And it looks like the battle for P4 is, well, I think it looks like these guys won't get in the top 5, because this is really going to hold them up. As you can see, they lost the second just by battling there. But Alonso doesn't care. He's had a battle with Hamilton in 2017, and he's now going to battle it with the young Monegasque driver as they go side by side. Of course, these guys currently 3rd and 4th respectively in the championship, after Leclerc, of course, leapfrogged Alonso last time. But yeah, Alonso maintaining position. And unlike Japan, it's not looking like Leclerc will get that win. And unlike Spa, it's not looking like he can implement his strategy to the fullest, because by the looks of things, as he head on to the final lap, it looks like there's not going to be any pit stops from anyone. So the rain is coming too late, to be honest, for Charles Leclerc. As yeah, by the looks of things, Hamilton's gaining a lot. And yeah, actually the battle we need to focus on is the battle for P8. Vettel has played this really well, and although he's had a really bad first part of the race, he's done really well in the second stint to close in Grosjean, and he has a chance now to overtake Grosjean and get 2 more valuable points. Of course, he has to be careful of Ricciardo as well, but I mean, there's no way, I don't think they're worried about points at this stage, because Van Dorn is a whole 11 seconds behind. Even so, Van Dorn, Hartley and Ericsson, 11th, 12th and 13th, so kudos to them. They're normally right at the back, but right now that's occupied by the Renaults, as Vettel's going to get Romain Grosjean, who might come under attack from, no, he's not going to come under attack from Ricciardo, who's well behind. But Vettel now finds himself ahead of Grosjean. He's locked up again, and the 4-time world champion now finds himself behind Ricciardo for the first time. And oh my god, what is it with this guy? He keeps locking up, and just when it looks like he's making his race, turning his race into something positive, he makes a mistake. And this is not like the Vettel we're used to. He's made too many mistakes this race. He made too many mistakes last race, and all of a sudden he finds himself in P10. And well, I don't even know, because look, he could have even been on to the back of Leclerc and Alonso, who are still continuing to battle, because they're not too much further up the road. So if Vettel made that stick, he could have easily been closing in on these guys. But by the looks of things, Hamilton may have closed him in, but Shady Onyx is going to cross the line to take victory, and as a result, everyone's
run out of fuel.
He runs out of fuel, but he will take victory across the line in the end, and as a result, the results will be taken from the point he crossed the line. So yeah, I don't think there'll be any other changes. As you can see, the podium, Shady Onyx finally getting some with that first place. Hamilton will be at second, and the home hero getting a podium. So brilliant stuff from the Mexican, and sure enough, he is quite happy, and I would be in his position. As yeah, brilliant stuff there. And Perez once again proving that he's a force to be reckoned with. I think he's really been the real unsung hero of this career mode. He's all the way up in, I think, P5, maybe even P4 now in the standings. And yeah, I mean, he's been doing so well considering what he's normally perceived to be. And sure enough, if we look at the results, the top 3, as I've already mentioned, Shady Onyx, Hamilton and Perez Verstappen will get P4 in the end after beating out Bottas. Leclerc could have caught up to Max Verstappen and Bottas, but he just had too much pressure from Alonso. But in the end, he was able to see off the two-time world champion to get that P6. So good damage limitation from Leclerc. Meanwhile, bad damage limitation from Vettel. He had a chance to get 8th place on the final lap, but he bottled it once again, and he's not looking good going into the final round. It looks like it's going to be, well, he's still in the shot because he's not too far behind Leclerc, but Hamilton has got is in the driving seat going into the final round, when it should have been Vettel if he actually drove like he was meant to drive. And you can have a look as well at Van Dorn, Brendan Hartley and Ericsson also doing better than expected. But once again, Gasly and Magnussen really struggling, and Ocon unfortunately not finishing the race. As we go on to the driver standings, of course, this is the thing you all want to look at. Not at the bottom, sorry. As we scroll to the top, Hamilton takes actually only a 10-point lead, so it's not as bad as I was saying. But as I was saying, there's only now 3 viable contenders for the championship. Unfortunately, Perez is only just a bit far out, but trust me, there's a battle brewing for P4, as Alonso has another bad result, which drops him actually out of that P4 he was occupying. So yeah, the top 3, Leclerc, Vettel and Hamilton. Of course, 2 races to go, it looked like Alonso would be up there as well, but Alonso has since dropped away. So they will be your 3 battling it out for the championship. Of course, Hamilton, all he needs to do is finish 2nd, and he's won no matter what happens. And well, Vettel and Leclerc need to try to finish as far ahead as possible. And of course, as long as Leclerc finishes ahead of Vettel, he has a chance of overtaking Vettel. And of course, if he's way ahead of Hamilton, he can technically win the championship still. So yeah, not everyone's out. I mean, Leclerc and Vettel still in the running. As we have a look now at the battle for P4, which is actually only separated by 4 points, even closer. Perez currently ahead of Alonso, who's just ahead of Valtteri Bottas. And you've also got a battle for P7 as well, so lots of battles going into this final race. The 2 Red Bull drivers, Max Verstappen finally coming back in the championship. So it's between the 2 Renaults and the 2 Red Bulls. Even so, I don't think Carlos Sainz is really part of that battle. And of course, Shady Onyx will actually jump quite a lot of positions up to 12th, and he has a chance, if he actually wins the next race as well, of getting all the way up to, I think, 10th place. But of course he has to hope Sainz doesn't get any points. As we scroll down again, we've got the Frenchman 13th and 14th. Of course, everyone getting displaced to positions as a result of Shady Onyx's good result. Of course, Grosjean just ahead of Gasly still. Hartley behind them, and of course Magnussen, Ocon and Van Dorn keeping position, and Ericsson still right at the back with 4 points. Him and Van Dorn haven't really been doing that well, and the only reason why Hartley's higher than Magnussen was because of his fluke in Canada. Meanwhile, quite interesting scenes in the constructors, as actually Alfa Romeo leapfrog Renault. So Renault, I was saying, are right on the back of Red Bull, but now it looks like Alfa Romeo could be right on the back of Red Bull. Of course, Leclerc single-handedly carrying that team, as Marcus Ericsson is contributing a whopping 4 points to that team out of the 121. So Leclerc doing a massive job to get his team up into the top 5. And you can see actually Force India as well, quite close behind us. Perez has been carrying Ocon single-handedly as well, and also McLaren have been carried by Alonso. So yeah, quite a lot of team carrying going on. As once again, I've been carried by Shady Onyx, but I've got an excuse. I haven't been racing. I don't think Ericsson has an excuse. I think his excuse is that he's just bad. But yeah, that's going to be it for this race. See you next time in the finale, where it's going to be down to the wire between Hamilton, Vettel and Leclerc. See you then.